Hello and welcome to another episode of Video Game Logic. Today's episode was recorded on February the 21st, 2023. I'm your host, gaming psychologist, and with me, as always, taking a sobering journey through history.
Effing rage.
On today's show, we will of course discuss some games that we've played, including several demos. MultiVersus daily peak Steam player count has dropped more than 99% since launch. And as Marvel's Avengers game shuts down, one dev offers an apology. Timestamps will be in the show notes following their respective topics. Hello, Rage.
Hello.
Had anything happen lately? Any computer parts blow up?
You're leading us right into games we played?
Well, that's not a game that we played.
Yes, it's called Pop Goes the Video Card.
I mean, if you want to call that a game.
Well...
See, that's a good way. That's a good way for me. Like, how you been? And you could be like, "Oh, I'm fine. My video card blew up." Or I could like do a segue, and then we could talk about it, and I could ruin it.
The week after we talk about AMD slowing chip production and everything, and my video card died on me. It was 8 years in service. Something like that?
Yeah, 7-8 years. We looked it up, but I don't remember exactly when the AMD 480 series card came out.
Yeah, and I got it not exactly on launch, but pretty soon thereafter. Which part of me wishes I had sold it at one point because it was originally going to be the first part of a new computer build, and it was just, jumping in on the video card because my video card was old at the time. And then, shit happened, life happened, never got to build the computer it was supposed to go in. And then computer parts shot up because, the initial Bitcoin rush happened.
Yep.
So, yeah. Honestly, that video card has did get its work in. But for a fair while, it was definitely by far the best part in my computer. But yeah, it died on me like 2 days after our last proper episode.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, I was playing a demo of a game where you do tech support. And I was very unimpressed with the game, about to shut it down, and my monitors go blank. Not a good sign. I've been having some driver issues. I've had driver crashes. I had it's been obvious that the video card has had issues, or just driver issues.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it's a little hard to tell. But there hasn't been like any artifacting or anything. Then all of a sudden, video goes blank, and I'm getting no video of the computer at all. Thankfully, I'm able to remote into the computer and start poking around. I see it's booting. I see it gets to desktop. Okay, good sign. Open up the device manager and exclamation point on the video card, and the video card showing is not disabled, as as unplugged, essentially.
Right.
Very not a good sign. So reseat the video card just to try that, and I also deleted it off of device manager, so try to reinitialize it. Card gets power, and nothing. It doesn't even reinitialize on the device manager. It is dead. So start hunting around for a video card. That's not going to break the bank. Thankfully, card prices are back somewhat down. They're not as crazy as they were before, but they're still, it's still painful. I ended up getting an RX 5700 XT. And the price history on that card is rather sobering. If this happened 6 months ago, I would not be getting a video card for a bit because,
How much did you pay for it?
After tax and shipping, because it was like $3 shipping or something, because Newegg, the only place I had video cards really was Newegg right now. Uh, it was 250 after everything, which is not bad.
No, that's very reasonable. And that's I believe a RTX 2070 comparable video card in terms of like power. I mean, I suppose our listeners, most of them are probably going to be on the up and up, but you know, it's a very solid top tier graphics card. You know, the 70, the whatever 70 and the whatever 80 series NVIDIA GPUs are usually the ones to beat the last, 4 GPU cycles, something like that.
Yeah, according to this, RTX 2070 Super is the closest direct comparison.
Yeah. So, very solid video card. I mean, the 2070 was what I was probably going to target for my build, although now that I'm a year behind when I intended to build my new PC, probably going to be looking at a 3070 series card, because I've got a 1070 that I bought right before GPU prices went fuck all crazy during the COVID times, the beginning of the COVID times. And that card has gotten me through the last several years. But my whole PC just needs a rebuild. It's pushed to the max. I'm rocking, 10-ish year old hardware. It's at the end of its life cycle as a gaming PC for what I do. Yeah. So now we get to trade places though, because you and I were in lockstep for a long time. And then I got the 1070, and then now you've got...
Yeah, I was holding on to my old video card because when I was building the computer, video cards were still the one thing that was stupidly expensive. So, yeah, I was not planning on upgrading for a bit. I was wanting things to come back down a bit more. But, fuck you. You can't fire me, I quit.
Right. Push does eventually come to shove.
Yeah, this game really sucks. I'm going to go kill myself now.
And how does that make you feel?
Makes me feel like should be digging a grave. I might get a little shadow box and put the card in it as a little display piece.
Oh, do one of those things where you take it apart?
Mm-hmm. Maybe. See if I can find the scorch marks.
Right. My 480 is still going. It's in my kid's gaming PC. Mm-hmm. He got the hand-me-down parts from when I rebuilt mine a few years ago, and that's what he's using.
Yeah, I've only had the computer back up and running for like 2 days right now, though. So I'm still in the break-in period.
Right.
Trying out a few things. Went into Hunter Call of the Wild because that's been kind of our pastime game.
Yeah.
Cranked everything up to maximum.
Still got 90 plus FPS. Is that what you said earlier? Yeah.
Yeah. Depending on the area I was in, it would dip down to the upper 80s in like heavy wooded areas. But open plains, 100 plus. So I might just put VSync on just to lock it down so it's not burning the card, right?
Yeah.
SnowRunner, that's more CPU bound than anything, so I definitely make it prettier, but it doesn't really seem to impact the FPS there. Trying to think of what else I've really tackled. I mean, overall, very happy with it, although not happy having to drop the that much cash right away to get back up and running. And I'm lacking one cable to get my secondary monitor up and running. So this card has one HDMI port and 3 display ports.
Yeah.
And I did not have a display port cable. And my primary monitor has 2 HDMIs and a display port, if I recall correctly. My old one is 1 HDMI on my secondary monitor and 2 DMI connectors. And I tried to use an adapter, and Windows did not like the adapter. So I should have just gotten the cable, but I didn't. I forgot that the main monitor had DisplayPort on it. So I'm pretty much going to have to run DisplayPort to my primary and HDMI to my secondary, which works, but right.
Yeah. I both of my monitors are DisplayPort.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
Is there?
I'm not sure if it's going to make much of a difference. Picture quality, but right.
Yeah. I know it was so DisplayPort can carry a higher frame or a higher resolution and frame rate at the same time over HDMI, even to my knowledge, the sort of other most recent HDMI.
Yeah, but as far as I know, this monitor is just 60 hertz too.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got both of my monitors are 144 hertz, 1080p displays. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever move past a 1080p display. Like, I mean, I guess at some point I'll have to, but, in terms of, like, the whole deal of, like, the eye's perception of pixel density and things like that, I sit about 2 feet away from my monitors, and I might get a boost at 1440p, but, I mean, my eyesight's bad. Like, and I prefer a much higher frame rate anyways. And if you stick to a low resolution, you can push hardware for longer because, most developers target newest, shiniest, bestest looking at highest resolutions.
Yeah, which boy, we're gonna have a discussion about that next week.
We will.
Hint,
We
hint.
will. Hint, hint, yeah. I'm looking to see. Because before we move on, you mentioned this. I wanted to look like what are the standard like monitor or display cable types these days. Like HDMI is obviously still around, as is DisplayPort. Like those are the two that I know the best.
Yeah.
USB-C looks like is becoming very common for low to mid tier displays. Thunderbolt is apparently a really common one. And you can still find occasionally VGA is like a lowest common denominator on like projectors. But really it looks like it's HDMI, DisplayPort, and USB-C for the most part.
Yeah, my old monitor actually has a VGA port on it as well.
Yeah. I've got a couple of older monitors kicking around that I occasionally get out to use for something, and they have HDMI, DVI, and VGA on them. I mean, obviously, there have been monitors in the past that use component or composite video, and there are probably still some out there today for specialist applications, but you don't see those anywhere anymore. I don't even think
I'm getting a hold of a third monitor, to be perfectly honest.
I'm debating about getting a larger single monitor,
so
doing like a curved display.
Well, my main screen is a 22-inch 1080p, but when we moved, Anita kind of slightly damaged the LCD panel on it.
Yeah.
Whenever it's a very dark and blue display, you can see like an outline right in the middle where she stacked the monitors when I told her not to do that.
Yeah.
So what I might do at some point is get a third monitor, put this one in portrait mode and off to my left, because right now my main monitor is directly in front of me and my secondary monitor is above me, actually, in an unusual configuration, right?
Yeah. I've got two 26-inch displays just side by side. I mean, one of them is angled slightly, which is why I considered getting a curved display, because I've got sort of a very shallow V thing going on with these screens. But I don't know. I kind of like having two monitors. Like, I know that you could separate, you could do like windows and separate out a bigger single monitor. But for like the way that my brain works, just with sort of my slightly ADHD brain, having two completely separate displays usually helps me get stuff done. So ultimately, I'll probably just upgrade the display panels whenever these start to burn out.
Yeah, for me, I like to have like, when the second monitor's connected, of course, have like YouTube or something running on the secondary monitor and just be able to flick my eyes up to look at something.
Yeah. So your video video card story is listed as a quote unquote games we played.
Yeah,
Does that mean that?
because I got to play around in the insides of my computer and run extra power cable, and I also figured out what was actually causing the rattling noise in my computer, which was also fun. Turns out one of my bundles of power cables had come undone, and every so often the front fan would like suck in the connector, just enough where it would rattle slightly. So that was fun to finally figure out.
Well, glad you got it figured out, though.
So do you want to take a game?
Yeah, sure, I'll take one. So I've got one. I mean, there are 3 games, but I've got one that's not a demo and 2 that are demos. So I'll start with the actual game. So while riding the metro around all weekend in DC, which I talk about quite a bit in our this week's Franken recording section, stay tuned for that. I'm sure it'll pop up sooner or later. I bought on the Google Play Store Mini Metro and played Mini Metro for about 3 hours in total over the weekend. And it is an excellent, minimalist kind of puzzle game. It's okay. So what you do is you build or design, build's maybe not the quite word, but design transit lines. You get a randomly sort of generated map that has stations that pop up over time. And the map might have river, or well, the map usually has some type of rivers or something, so you might have to build tunnels.
Well, it also depends on the city you're in.
Yeah, but tunnels, and which might require you to have tunnels when you build a line. So you get these stations, and each station is a shape. There's triangle, square, circle, and cross. If there's more after the cross, I haven't gotten that far. But I'm playing on my smartphone, so I'm, tapping and dragging between different stations to draw the lines. And for your first few stations, you get one single train that runs the lines, and you just keep it going for as long as you can. There's no money to be earned every in-game week, which the time passes relatively quickly, maybe a couple of minutes per in-game week. You get new things. So you start with 3 lines. You can get up to 7, I think, 6 or 7 lines, and they're just represented by different colors. So, red, yellow, green, blue, etc. So you can get additional lines if you want to separate it out that way. You can get additional trains. You can get additional train cars, which, increase the length of your train, meaning that a train can carry more, quote unquote, people, more shapes. You can get additional tunnels if you want or need to have more tunnels. And then you can get, what's the other thing you can get? Trains, tunnels, train cars, lines. Maybe that's it. Maybe that is all you can get, those 4 things. And you're essentially just trying to beat your high score, which is how many people that you transported. You can, at will, sort of redesign your entire line, or your entire network if you want. You can pause time. You can delete your lines. You're fully refunded everything that you delete. They're just resources that you can spend or reallocate at will to try to just keep your system going for as long as possible. There is an endless mode where you can just play, and there's no, you don't lose. You just keep going for as long as you want. But in sort of the standard mode, you lose if you have a station that gets too many passengers built upon it for too long. And eventually it's like, oh, you failed. You have too many people. Do you want to keep playing it endless, or do you want to try again? And then it starts over on a new randomly generated map. There are real world maps, real world locations that you can play on, so you do get the same map every time. But I just keep playing in the randomly generated mode. I find that interesting and fun. But it's got a very calming, soothing soundtrack, very simple sound effects, but they're all very pleasant, very nice to listen to. You can
kind
just
of built upon one another, huh?
Yeah. you can pause the game at any time and come back to it. So, you could play for a few minutes on the Metro, or you could, sit on the couch or lay in bed and play for 30, 45 minutes, an hour. It's just a very calming game. The first time you start playing, it serves as a tutorial and it explains stuff to you. But then after that, I mean, you can, it's not intrusive. You can go, to sort of the options menu and review the stuff. And there's a few settings that you can change. On my phone, it uses, and I would assume it would do this on any mobile device that supports this. It uses haptic feedback. So, the little vibrations and if you've got one of the displays that also can kind of, or not displays, one of the screens that can move, like if it's got, pressure sensitivity to it, which my phone has, which is very weird to get used to, but using devices that don't have it now feels very strange. And it will respond to different pressures that, or, the different amount of pressure that you're exerting on it. Plus, it'll use that haptic feedback, the vibrations, to make it feel very intuitive, to drag line connections around and to drop, train cars and stuff on lines. It builds tension really well for a game that's so simple. Like, whenever you start to get the little ticking sound that you've got a station that's about to cause you to lose, you're like, oh shit, what can I rearrange? Can I get this stopped really quickly? And like you're watching the train, it's like, go, little train, go, you can get over there. And then it's like, there's that moment of either relief or horror. If you're
as another train stops and drops even more shit there.
Yes, or you accidentally mess up your line structure, and so you've got like a train that bypasses it. And it's like, oh god, how am I gonna lose? It's very good game. Very simple. It was 99 cents on the Play Store. I don't know how much it costs on PC.
I think it does have the PC tax because, right?
Mini Metro is, oh god, it's $10 on
I'm pretty sure
Steam.
I picked it up on deep discount on Steam.
Yeah. This says historical minimum. It's been free a couple times. You can get it for $5 on Amazon. So it's probably been on sale for a couple bucks.
It usually goes down to $5 on sale.
Okay. On mobile, 99 cents just is a steal. Now, Mini Metro, if you have the Google Play Pass or whatever it's called, which is their sort of subscription mobile gaming service, it's included in that. But I tend to just buy the games that I want on mobile, as opposed to use any of those subscriptions on mobile, just because there's so much garbage on mobile. But 99 cents, absolutely worth it. $5, I don't know. That's it looks like there's more. Actually, looking at this, it looks like there's more stuff on the PC release. So maybe the extra maps or, something like that makes this more worth it on PC. I'm not sure. 99 cents, perfect for mobile. I'd say even like $2-3 is a good deal. $5, I don't know if I'd be happy buying this on mobile for $5, but it's enjoyable. I'm still playing it. I'm gonna be playing it. I was playing it at work today when I took a break, or when I was eating lunch and I took a break from doing some paperwork. I played Mini Metro while I ate a sandwich. So good game. I enjoy it. 2 thumbs up.
Okay,
what did you play?
So moving on to the first demo I played. I'm going to have 4 over the next couple weeks. I'm going to skip 1 for now.
Okay.
So, I Am Future, a cozy apocalypse survival game. I really wanted to like this, but it's just, the demo does not do itself any favors. This is one of those that it feels like the developers really need to bring in some outside game testers to figure out what to tell the player. Because I actually ended up at a state where I couldn't figure out how to progress because the game was telling me to do something, but it wasn't telling me how to do it. And after the 3rd time, of something like that happening, I just gave up on it, which is incredibly frustrating because it's not a bad game overall. I do worry that it'll be a bit samey because the idea is that uh, uh, player McPlayerson wakes up after a hibernation chamber defrosts his ass, and the world has kind of moved on. You're on you're on the top of the skyscraper that's been overgrown, and there's nobody around, and you're just like, cool, I'll stay here, right? And the entire point of the game is essentially just building your little home on top of the skyscraper and scavenging parks, sending drones out to go scavenge the city. There's some automation that I did not get to in the demo. I'm not sure if they're actually in the demo or what, where you could build robots to take care of mundane tasks like watering plants and that sort of thing. But the tutorials in this game need a serious rework. Like, it tells you to build a farm, but then it doesn't tell you how to water said farm to the point
right.
that
Okay.
To the point that you don't get the bottle to collect water for quite a while, and by that time, all your plants that the game had forced you to plant to be able to progress the tutorial has been eaten by these slug creatures that pop out every night. They have really no interest in the player character. They just kind of pop out, they eat plants, and then drop sludge that you have to clean up later. Not very cozy, huh?
No, doesn't sound like it.
There's some story going on, and I do like there's you can see a glimpse of it in the store page, where instead of just salvaging something and randomly getting the parts from it, you're actually physically taking it apart, taking out screws and that sort of thing, and you could stop at any point to just get partial stuff. Like taking apart a microwave, you're sitting there figuring out how to pop the door off, that sort of thing. It was very satisfying, at least the first time. I imagine once you do it a dozen times, it's going to get old, right?
Yeah.
And considering even in the demo, I took apart like 2 or 3 kettles. I mean, don't get me wrong, by the third kettle, I was a master at taking it apart, but at the same time, do I really need to do this again, right?
Yeah.
I have a feeling that I'm not the target audience here.
See, this is one that I had downloaded to play, and that I didn't get a chance to play.
I mean, the demo's still active if you're willing to try it out.
I'm going to, and maybe I'll compare.
Or maybe I just overlooked something on the demo. Whenever they say, okay, plant this, and it's like, okay, now you need to water your plants. How? What? Right?
Yeah.
The dead stop was it was wanting me to upgrade the workshop, but in order to upgrade the workshop, you needed something that in the game wouldn't tell you what it is. And I just tried a few combinations and got frustrated with it, and it's moved on. I do like so there's this talking fridge named Earl.
Okay.
Who's like your big companion to keep you from going insane, and you could use him for storage and a little bit of shopping as well. And he has a fair amount of personality. Your player character is pretty much just a blank slate as far as I can tell. So, and it does look like you get more characters later on. The fishing minigame is there, but it's kind of bare bones. So, like I said, there's stuff here I really wanted to like, but it just couldn't get into it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I do intend to play it,
Mm-hmm.
so maybe we'll have a little bit of comparison talk we can do next time we do this. Because next week will be Game Club, so we probably won't talk about it then, but in 2 weeks.
Okay, baby.
Okay. Is that all you have to say about it?
Yeah.
So the first one of my demos is Plan B Terraform. This is a colonization, terraforming, transportation sim city builder. It hits a lot of
That's either going to be really good or really bad.
So, see, this type of game, I don't think is done justice by a demo because there's only so far that you can get. So the game starts out very, very slowly. You're given essentially a Mars-like planet. It's randomly generated. There are 3 randomly placed settlements that are down on the map. They're like bare bones. The colonists have landed their ship. Help them build a city. And you get a few basic mining rigs and a few drone transport platforms and a couple of like basic factories. And the tutorial takes a long time because you don't have very much stuff. And you initially don't start with a good way to transport any materials over a long distance. So if you get a bad starting spawn when you don't know what you're doing, you're going to waste a lot of time, which I did. Because the tutorial does not do a very good job of telling you exactly what you need to be doing to get these resources moved around. But essentially, you start mining some basic materials, iron, phosphorus, and stone to get your basic building blocks going. You build more mining rigs, you build more drone platforms, and then once you get far enough to sort of start unlocking the tech tree, you get drone transport vehicles and roads. And that's when the game finally starts to pick up, because using the drone resource platforms to transport stuff around takes forever. So the whole thing is laid out on a hex grid. And each each facility has a limited range. And for the most part, there's 1 hex of space you can put between them where they will still work with each other. Some things have to be adjacent. Some things have to be touching. But for most stuff, you get sort of 1 hex of range that the drones can go out and get resources that your mining drills mine or that your factories produce and transport them around. But until you get roads, you have to like hopscotch drone platforms around for them to transport resources. And the drones are always trying to level out the resources. So, and there's no way that I found or that was explained to prioritize where you want resources to go. So until you get roads to where that you can set up actual transport networks between, essentially nodes, like mining nodes to production nodes, you just have these drones sort of hopscotching resources around haphazardly to try to spread them as evenly as possible between all of the drone resource stations. And each one can hold 10 of a particular resource. And so initially, when you've got like a couple of stations and your first couple of mining platforms and your first factory, it's fine. But then when it's like, okay, you need to collect X amount of resources to research a road. You need this many things to build, the next thing, to build the next thing. And you've got 20, 25 drone platforms to move stuff around because you still don't have the fucking roads yet. Like, how hard is it to make a goddamn road? You're doing a Mars colony, right? It's just like, you're just waiting.
Where are you going? You need some roads.
Right? But you're just waiting. And you can speed up time, you can slow down time, you can stop, pause it, whatever. But still, I spent a good 30 minutes at the beginning of the game just waiting. Once I did finally get roads and could set up proper sort of transport nodes, the game started to make a lot more sense. And you are transporting resources to these settlements, ultimately, to support their growth. And so the settlement will have demands. And initially it's, we need iron, we need sulfur, we need stone, we need silicate, whatever. And so you're bringing resources to the city. And once you fulfill the resource needs of a city, it grows a level. And they start out as I said, essentially one hex settlements that represents like the spaceship that has landed. As you supply their needs, they grow. And there are more small buildings, and then more small buildings, and then some larger buildings. And in the demo stops before you get this far. But in the screenshots and in the trailer for the game, you see essentially these metropolises forming around your transport network. And so you're not building the cities per se, you're not colonizing the planet per se, but you are supplying the resource needs of the settlements to do the growth and the colonization. It starts out really slow, really rough. And I don't know if I just got a bad, roll on the, randomization table for my planet. I don't know if that's something that they intend to fix. The game is in early access, so I don't know if that's something that they're going to...
Well, it released in early access already.
Right. So, I don't know if that's something they're going to fix, as they tweak it for the remainder of its development. But once I did get past that initial really slow hurdle, it really started to pick up the pace. But, like I said, demos of this sort don't really, I think, do this type of game justice, because it essentially, you get the first tier of tech, which is the road system and the drone trucks. But there are trains and monorails and other advanced, sort of quote-unquote future techs for transporting goods around and for mining and, factory complexes. Like trebuchets. Factory complex-looking structures that you can build that can, I think, do more than one thing at once. This is very much a, feed X into Y to get Z to build X2, type of supply chain. Kind of like Factorio in the sense of you can have in your initial product run or in your initial factory setup, you've got these factories that you put two resources in to get a single other resource out of. But then you use that resource and another one to build a new type of factory and so on. It's like that. But it looks like some of the later structures are sort of these factory complexes that you can just feed resources into, and they can produce whatever you need. But I'm not sure because they were locked off and I couldn't get to them. Overall, it seems pretty promising. I'm tempted to buy it. It's too late now. Your save file from the demo, they said, would carry over into the full game if you purchased it. So I'm considering purchasing it. It's only $9 right now. It's on sale for the next... Ooh, looks like it's only got 13 hours left on the sale. But, full price is $10. I'm considering buying it. I think it's worth $10. I liked the demo experience. It started out really slow, kind of a little weird, but I'm into it. I like this kind of game. So yeah, pretty solid overall. 2 thumbs up.
Yeah, it looks like they're planning on increasing the price with every major update. So, with early access estimated to take about a year, but whenever they say about a year, they mean 3.
Right. Hint. Hint, hint.
So, how about the latest in animal-based extreme sports games?
Go on.
Driftwood, with a downhill skateboarding sloth named Eddie. I was picking through the demos, and I saw the GIF of this skateboarding sloth, and I just had to try it,
Yeah.
So they highlight that this is a very chill game. There's no story mode. There's no open world. It's all about downhill skateboarding on a longboard. So no yeah, uh, no major tricks. There are point multipliers by like skating close to cars, that sort of thing, or going through leaves on the road. But the main thing is like time attack, getting as fast as possible from the top of the hill to the bottom of the hill, without making Eddie into a greasy stain on the road in the process. And it has this very chill, laid back approach to the game that I just found very appealing. Also, the fact that it's a sloth on a skateboard drifting around a corner of a hilly roadside, right?
Right, which sounds awesome.
I mean, you just have to kind of see it in action just to see how kind of goofy it is. But I appreciate it. There are shortcuts to discover on the various levels, essentially. And it's a very straightforward game. I don't foresee it being very expensive. They don't list a price just yet. And that's kind of a little worrying because, right?
Yeah.
But the demo only and the demo is still available, by the way. The demo only had 3 levels, but there was kind of this zen moment of just going through this long section of like chicanes and hairpin turns, dodging cars, and it just kind of clicked for me,
Yeah.
And sometimes that's really all you need for a demo is to just get a feel for the game. They do talk about how there's going to be a fair number of unlocks with the wheels and clothing for Eddie, and just playing a sloth, right?
Yeah.
So shorter one, but don't really need to go too in depth on that one. So let's see yours.
Yep, the last one that I've got for this week is called Survivalist Invisible Strain, which is a really weird, kind of a weird name. And the image that they're using on the Steam store page for this game is not good. It makes it look like, honestly, a pretty shitty looking game, but it's not. It combines some elements. The easiest way to explain this game is it combines some elements of Project Zomboid, zombie apocalypse, survival, very in-depth systems for food and clothing and illness and damage to your body and all of those aspects, with some of the larger sort of open world exploration elements of Kenshi, which I talked about at some point last fall, I believe, which is this game that allows you to basically do anything. And it's an isometric game that combines elements of an RPG and an RTS and a third-person action game and a isometric CRPG and it had all of these systems that it did pretty okay to give this like really unique jack of all trades experience, but just comparable in some ways to Mountain Blade. But anyways, so it's combining some of those elements from Kenshi with some of these elements from Project Zomboid, and it looks weird, and
it looks like it's out of the 90s.
It does, and at times it plays strangely, like it's out of the 90s, honestly. At times it can be a bit clunky. But hot damn, is this a really good game. It released a couple of years ago, and it looks like the demo, which is still available.
This is the sequel for Survivalist by Bob.
Okay.
No, that's what the developers is. Bob,
yeah. But this game has been out for a couple of years, but like I saw it, like its demo was highlighted during Next Fest or whatever. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I stumbled upon it. But yeah, it plays really well. It feels very tense. There's a lot of choices you can make. It looks like and feels like you have the opportunity to really like build a settlement up, and can do anything from being like a wandering survivalist to a shopkeeper in the post-apocalypse. So if you can get past kind of the janky way that it looks and the occasional janky way that it plays, I think it's a game that would be up quite a few people's alleys that, listen to our show and that I have played games with in the past. Like, this seems like a game that possibly like Jim would like, or Cube, people who have played management games, survival games, like things like that. Like, I think that there's something here for those folks. It's good. I'm probably going to buy it. I'm probably gonna wind up buying Plan B, and I'm probably gonna wind up buying this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's two games that Next Fest is going to have sold. Right now, this is $7. Yeah, I feel like this is easily worth $7. I suspect you could get dozens, maybe even a couple hundred hours out of this. There's like hints at some story stuff that the demo only really touched on. This sort of greater, ongoing apocalypse and like catastrophe and like, settlements that I guess maybe I didn't realize that it was a sequel. So maybe in the first game, like, there's some stuff going on that this continues. I'll have to look at the first game as well. But yeah, it's good. It's very, very solid. As long as you can deal with the jankier aspects of it and how weird it looks, honestly, like, it's worth playing, I think. And the demo's still up, so you can always check it out. Try before you buy.
Okay, so time for the Phantom Brigade.
Yeah, I'm very excited to hear about this.
Okay, so imagine BattleTech.
Yep.
Plus the overworld of XCOM 2.
Okay.
Plus the simultaneous turn-based game play of Frozen Synapse.
Okay.
Holy shit.
I'm fully erect.
And then we started recording.
Right.
I am massively impressed with this game, with this demo. To the point that I didn't even need to get to the end of the demo. I want to get this game, if not on launch, soon thereafter. So there are some down points in which I will get to. So you are the kind of the default commander at this point. Very tropey, commander gets killed, you're in kind of a leadership role because, right? There was a surprise attack on your country because Putin's a dick. Oh wait, wrong country.
Also,
and basically, it's basically what Russia wanted. They Zerg rushed the country and was able to take it over, and your company of giant mechs was able to escape and has basically formed a resistance group. Now, just before the attack, you were testing out some that they kind of hand wave of what exactly it is. If it's like this, or maybe they will go more into it in the story. If it's like this predictive AI technology, if this is actual time travel, where you're able to kind of see the enemy movements before they happen and see how they'll react. And that's where the kind of the Frozen Synapse aspect comes in, where you're commanding your troops in 5-second intervals. And you're able to scrub back and forth through this 5-second block of time, like you're doing video editing. And you have movement actions and secondary actions. Movement actions, as you may guess, are movements. while secondary actions are attacking, using different abilities. Like one of the mechs in the game has a shield, or in the demo, I should say, has a shield, and putting up like a shield wall to deflect and decrease damage in a certain direction. Attacking, which also builds up heat. See, BattleTech analogies, right?
Yep.
And a portion of the tactics of the game is figuring out the timing to be able to attack, and also factoring in your chance to hit, because it's kind of XCOM-y on some of the attacks, where you have to factor in not just angles on the different armor locations, but also your attack chances. Which you'll be able to calculate the percentage chance whenever you're setting that particular movement. And it's just a very solid base for what I think will be a killer game. I do have some issues with it, like I said. One is that if like an enemy dies early on in a turn, the commands that you still ordered. So let's say one of the like second or third missions in the demo is knocking out a bunch of enemies in a very short amount of time to prevent reinforcements from coming in. Well, I had one left to finish off the mission. And one of the secondary objectives was cause minimum damage to the surrounding town, because the idea of this game is sort of like XCOM 2, where you're trying to take over territories and build up resources and build up the back lines of your resistance at the same time, while funneling resources into your Phantom Brigade to take the country back. Well, originally, on this particular turn, I was going to have one mech come around the corner and blast him with this giant assault rifle that he has, while another one is shooting him with a giant laser. Well, the laser must have got a lucky hit or something, and it did a lot more damage than I expected and killed the enemy very quickly. Well, on second 2 of the turn, well, the mech still came around the corner and opened fire, only the tank had already exploded, so it went straight past and took out a building past it, which was completely unexpected. And that leaves some of the idea of, well, you're able to see into the future for 5 seconds, but not really, right?
Yeah.
Which is a little hand-wavy, right? And sometimes the AI does some wacky things, especially if it's not quite sure what it should be doing. Like, for example, on the previous mission, I got a couple good hits on an enemy mech and blew its arm off, which in this particular game, it's not like BattleTech or Mech Warrior, where the mechs are absolutely riddled with weapons, usually. In this, think of them as like essentially like exosuits, only giant ones, and they have 1, maybe 2 weapons. And they're more akin to like soldiers than they are mechs, where they'll have a primary weapon and maybe a sidearm. Well, I blew off the mech's arm, which took out its main weapon, and the mech kind of panicked the next turn. And then after that turn, it figured out that it had no weapons or way to fight, so the pilot punched out. And that could, like I said, you can kind of give it an excuse of the pilot is panicking, but at the same time, it's kind of just flying around. You look at the run path that it's going to do, it's just kind of like running back and forth a couple times. and that's just a little odd.
Yeah.
At the
So
same
this,
time, yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
what you've been describing so far, aside from the, sort of the 5 second thing where it's, that this makes me think of the Battlestar Galactica game, because that's the only kind of
Yeah,
game that I've played like this, where that you
yeah.
plan your moves
That's
out,
very similar as well.
yeah, and then a
I
few
use
seconds
Frozen
pass,
Side
and
apps as my analogy to it, but Battlestar Galactica is also a good consideration of as well, where you're setting units on blocks of time instead of individual turns, and the enemies are playing out their turn as you're taking out your turn.
yeah. But the actual, like, sort of mech or mecha, gameplay, the way that it works does line up with what I thought it was going to be, because I've played, I mentioned this to you before, and I might have said it like already on recording, but I've played several of the Front Mission series of games, and up until the most recent 1 or 2 releases, which are still several years old at this point, they were all turn-based games that their mechs were treated more like soldiers, where that they would have, like you said, 1, 2 weapons,
I'm
and
not sure if there's going to be more weapon laden ones, but I don't foresee it, at least with the way that they have it built.
yeah, in front mission, well, I mean, Armored Core's that way as well. You've got two arms and 2 shoulders, and then there's a couple of other kind of bolt-on weapons that exist in, Armored Core and in the Front Mission universe. And that's kind of what I was expecting. Like, you could either use 1 or 2 smaller weapons that only take 1 hand, a larger weapon that uses both hands, and maybe some shoulder weapons. That's kind of what I was envisioning. And you're describing what I'm interpreting is that, so.
Yeah, the shield mech, its shield was essentially built into the arm, so it technically was a one-armed mech, from what I can tell. So there is that as well, and I'm not sure if there's going to be other particulars of it. Salvage appears to be. I didn't get to the building a mechs part because I got a little too excited. It's one of those games that you play the demo enough. It's like, okay, I don't need to see more. You got my money at some point.
Yeah, I mean, you describing this has sold it to me already. I don't even need to play the demo. I'm just gonna fucking buy it when it comes out next week.
So it does appear that it's collect 5 or 6 parts of a mech, and there's a salvage budget, and you can either leave something, you can break it down for supplies, which will refill the supplies of your mobile base, which is very XCOM 2-ish, or just salvage the part outright. And the more intact the mech is, the less of that budget it takes. So, for example, whenever I forced the pilot to eject, I was able to salvage most of that mech pretty cheaply because I blew off an arm and then caused the pilot to panic. I'm not sure if there's like any personalities that's going on. There is personalities on the pilots, but I'm not sure if it actually has any gameplay impact or if it's just flavor text. There's a large amount of customization on just painting out just different parts of the mech and making them out, well, in your case, as hideous as you want.
Thank you.
There's weapon tiers, essentially, and different weapons have different ranges, as you would expect. I looted a shotgun, and it had a very particular optimal range, and then you could compare that with the assault rifle, which has a slower curve up, and then it kind of plateaus more and then drops off, which will lead to some interesting building of different mechs and different essentially battalions. I'm not sure of the actual maximum number of mechs you could field. I'm wanting to say probably 6, but I'm not 100% certain on that one.
Yeah, that's very Front Mission as well. at the end of the game, 6 mechs was what you could field. Although some missions gave you allies that you could control. So, does that ever happen, or is it just what you bring to the table?
There's essentially a guest mech that you could that pops up on the second mission. That is like the town guard that you could give commands to. So it's like an additional thing on top of what you already brought in. Hello?
Gotcha.
Okay. Sorry, you were quiet.
No, I mean, yes, I was, but I wasn't sure if you were done or if you had another example. So I was just waiting.
It looks like it's going to be very focused on the mechs, and the pilots are kind of just secondary, which is a little disappointing. So there's not going to be like stats or leveling of the pilots. It's going to be more the mechs getting geared up as your progression system. So as you, this is evident in the demo, there's essentially tiers of weapons, and as you loot or eventually probably create them, and there are melee weapons.
Sweet.
According to the FAQ, so right,
yeah.
As you loot different weapons, they'll not just have different stats, but also eventually you'll start seeing essentially better variants of the weapons. So I'm a little disappointed that there's not something to make me more attached to the pilots, but it's gonna make more on the loot, which okay, fine, right?
Yeah. I'm sold. With you, usually you're a very harsh but fair critic. And if you're like, I love this, and it's something that even seems like it's remotely going to be up my alley, I don't think you've ever liked something that I didn't.
It's going to be there's a bit of a learning curve on how you handle the commands, the command structure, because you have to remember that you're essentially scrubbing back and forth in time, but you can also check enemy units and see what they're doing, and will react. And as far as I can tell, react to what you're doing. So you can kind of go back and forth and try to avoid damage as well, which is an interesting thing. So yeah, I mean, I'm very much sold. It's supposed to be $30.
Oh shit, dude! Yeah, I'll buy that. I mean, honestly, you could have said it was going to be a full, quote unquote retail $60. I'd pay for it.
Yeah, I did not get to the progression system as well, or the upgrade system, which looks pretty in depth actually. For the crawler base to expand it out. Whenever you're starting out, you're essentially having the mechs kind of hang on the back of it as you're customizing and changing out weapons. So it does look like that eventually branches out and fills out. So, all right.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, it sounds great. I'm in. Sold.
Yeah, railguns, beam weapons, missiles, energy swords, and more, according to the store page. Now the question is, will they make zoom?
They have to. That's required. Right? That's one of the rules. That's the law. You have to make them lightsaber or generic lightsaber sounds.
Yeah, I'm trying to find. Okay, so it looks like squad size might be limited to 4 that you bring in. Which, right? Still, 4 is a pretty decent number, and that's also with the option of guest units. So it was a little hard to tell on the interest screen if it was going to be 4 or 6, because I could easily see 2 more in the back, but at the same time, all right.
Yeah,
but usually 4 is a decent number for a tactics game anyway.
Yeah, especially if you've got lots of options, and these types of games lots of times will focus on how powerful you're able to get through training or customization or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so even though there's only 4 of you, you're still able to cut through swaths of enemies.
And don't forget, you're able to predict the future.
Right? True.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Absolutely. Well, okay. Cool beans. That's all the games that we played this week, or at least that we're going to talk about that we played, demos and otherwise. So let's move on. Let's do a couple of quick topics and then round out for the night. Our first of two news topics for the night: MultiVersus daily peak Steam player count has dropped more than 99% since launch. Oh, no! I just breathed in a fly. God, that's terrible.
No, it's protein.
Oh, yep. There's been one that's buzzing around. I've tried to kill it a couple of times.
Well,
I just did. I just got him.
Congratulations, you just got him.
Yeah. So for barring that, for anybody who doesn't know, MultiVersus is the WB Studios, basically Smash Brothers clone.
Rather schizophrenic Smash Brothers clone from the looks of the roster.
Yeah. Just because it's got a random mishmash of WB owned characters. So like I remember in the
Batman
in the trailer for it, was like
Shaggy.
Yeah, it was Batman fighting Shaggy. Was the one that sticks out in my mind.
Yeah, poor Batman never stood a chance. So let's see. It looks like they added Black Adam. So, but it's okay. So this has a few problems. This game has a few problems with it. Never mind the fact that that they're tying in the whole the whole Space Jam 2 into it, adding more shit onto it, right?
Yep.
It's a game that's trying to compete with Smash Brothers while offering the bare minimum, while doing free-to-play bullshit. It has obscene monetization, battle passes, and honestly, a shallow roster on top of it. So, as far as I was able to tell, I will admit, I've not played this game. Alright? You get a rotating selection of free, whatever they call them. Heroes, whatever, right?
Fighters.
And then you get one fighter for free to play the tutorial. And then you have to unlock essentially everything else. And that gets expensive quickly. And grindy quickly. And it's just, why spend so much time with that? Unless you're absolutely obsessed to see Steven Universe kick the shit out of Jake from Adventure Time, right?
Yeah.
When you could go play Brawlhalla or Super Smash Brothers. Because that's kind of the thing, is that we have the Super Smash Brothers equivalent in Brawlhalla done better, right?
Yeah, Brawlhalla is, I would say, okay. This
Brawlhalla's been a quiet success.
Yeah, oh yeah, Brawlhalla has been very successful. It built up a good niche following. It's had a very avid tournament scene for years. They market that game well to the right type of crowd. They don't have obscene monetization. They do have season passes now, we discovered, but it's not obscenely monetized. But this falls into the issues that we've been talking about with like live service games, in the facts of like, people only have so much time for something. People only have so much energy and attention span for something. And if you, in this market space, if you cannot be the best or damn close to it, you don't stand a chance. And this game, from everything that I've heard, I also haven't played it, so I can't directly compare it to Smash Brothers. But from everything that I've heard, it is not as good as Smash Brothers.
I've seen comments about it being floaty, the music not memorable, characters all over the place, and moves being meh, which is not what you want for a Smash Brothers game.
Right. So it does the fighting bad. It does the fighting not good. And then you combine the, live service, battle passy, whatever elements of it. Because, I mean, the best thing about Smash Brothers and Brawlhalla, I have played Brawlhalla, is that you get a huge roster of characters from the get-go. From Smash Brothers, they're all, iconic characters from video games or, a couple of other properties that have been added over the years, but mostly Nintendo IP, game characters. And you get a huge roster, and there are some unlocks. There were sort of the secret unlocks in the original Smash Brothers and Melee, and then that just kind of became, expected. It's, you do stuff, you get to unlock more characters. But then you've got them. And then Brawlhalla, at least when I played, it had a roster of characters that they made very memorable, made them play differently so that, you could pick your style of character, but you had the whole roster the whole time. Limiting the character roster, if you're not going to make a, top tier fighting game, limiting the character roster is the fastest way to kill this game off. Because what's going to bring people to it if not wanting to play, some of their favorite characters from Warner Brothers properties,
So
which is a lot.
I found a list since we brought characters up.
Okay.
So, okay. Listen to how schizophrenic this is. Arya Stark, this is divided by classes, essentially, or styles. So, Arya Stark from Game of Thrones, Flynn the Human from Adventure Time, Harley Quinn, DC Comics, Marvin the Martian, Looney Tunes, Stripe from Gremlins, Batman from DC Comics, Black Adam from DC Comics, Garnet from Steven Universe, Jake the Dog from Adventure Time, LeBron James from Space Jam, I guess not from Earth, Morty from Rick and Morty, Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, Taz from Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny from Looney Tunes, Rick from Rick and Morty, Tom and Jerry, Gizmo from Gremlins, Reindeeg, which is a original character, or Ring Dog or whatever, Steven Universe from Steven Universe, Velma from Scooby-Doo, Iron Giant from the Iron Giant, Superman from DC, and Wonder Woman from DC. And that's it.
That's still a pretty fun roster, though. Like, they could grow that. They could expand that. I mean, Arya's the only one that really feels out of place to me.
I would say LeBron James.
Well, I mean, LeBron James, though, is the Michael Jordan character from the new
that doesn't
Space
exist.
Jam.
It doesn't exist.
Okay, fine.
If they're going to comment about soulless, cash grab movies, and then ignore the fact that they're making a soulless cash grab movie, it doesn't exist.
Fair enough, I suppose. But Arya Stark is really the only one that super duper stands out as like, oh, that's weird. But whatever. Like that doesn't bother me so much, honestly. But I mean, that's a good starting roster of characters, and if those were just
that's after a year of support.
Yeah,
they launched with about 15 characters.
But if those were all available at all times to the player, and they were something else was doing them on, honestly, it shouldn't be a free to play game. It should just be a game that costs fucking $30 or $40 or even $50, and you should just buy the game and then offer the characters as DLCs, or if you want to do a season pass and that's how you get new characters, fine. But of course, this is a modern AAA developed title by a, quote unquote AAA development studio. So they don't want to make a good game that is going to be moderately successful. They want some runaway success that makes all the money in the world and is going to try to nickel and dime its players and ultimately be garbage because of it. And that sucks, because I think that there is space in the market for one more or maybe two more sort of Smash Brothers-esque games that bring in a huge roster of other characters from other IP, I think there's room for one or two of those in the market if they're done right. I'm not surprised though that this game is on the verge of dying.
Okay, so let's pick a character almost at random. Let's go ahead and do like Taz. All right, Taz. Oh, it's actually one of the cheaper ones. 1,500 gold. 700 gleamium, which is the premium currency. Which, mind you, you cannot buy the exact amount you need because, of course, you can't, right?
Of course.
So to get Taz, you're essentially paying $10 for the virtual currency. All right, because that gives you 1,000 gleamium, which is a little bit left over, but you're never going to spend it all, right?
Right.
Mind you, you could get 6,000 for $50, or you could just buy Smash Brothers at that point.
Yep.
So the gold is one hell of a grind. All right. So progressing your battle pass on either the free or the paid tier gets you gold. The example here is the preseason battle pass has one tier that's 250 gold. Login bonuses could give gold, which is a daily thing. And also, if you progress a character up to level 5, you get some gold as well. Mind you, Taz is a cheaper one at 1,500. Some of the more popular characters, as much as that hurts me to say Taz is not a popular character, but alright.
Yeah.
Like Rick from Rick and Morty is 3,000 gold. Let's see, Bugs Bunny's 2,000 gold. LeBron James is 2,000 gold. So you see where we're going with this, huh?
Yeah.
It does look like you do have ways to get gold, but oh, it's so slow. And I know, you don't have to unlock the entire roster to have fun with these games. You could find a couple characters that you really like and stick with them. But it's still so long to grind these characters. So let's see. Black Adam, which I think is the last one that they added, is 3,000 gold. Or there's a third one. Character tickets, which is gotten through the battle pass. Or through the founders pack, which is no longer available. So, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep. I mean, I'm just not surprised that this game is not doing well.
It makes me wonder what they were thinking, right?
They were thinking, damn, we're going to make so much money off of this IP alone. We don't have to do anything.
And that's kind of the other thing is that, okay, you're competing with Smash Brothers, but Smash Brothers is more than just a fighting game. You know, there's the single player aspect of Smash Brothers, there's the mini games, there's the community aspect, and there's the fact that, Mario just snapping and beating the ever living hell out of Peach for getting kidnapped for the third time in the last 2 days, right?
That's worth something. That's worth the price of admission. So,
I mean, I'm really not surprised that this game has seen such a drop off because it's just it's gross monetization. Unless I'm really, really, really invested in these characters, I just don't see why people would buy into this.
yep. I agree. Because, that's what they made the focus. The awful monetization practices. Instead of making a good or solid game that they just sold for some money to be successful, a completed product. So, yeah. Fuck them. Fuck Warner Brothers.
Now I gotta go check something. Is there anybody on Twitch streaming this? Okay. So... Oh, that's just sad. Okay, the top streamer has 50 viewers. And there's like I'm seeing just a handful of others. And they're usually like 1 or 2 viewers.
Yeah.
That's just so sad. That's very sad, huh?
Yep. Say la vie.
Mind you, okay, MultiVersus has, what did we count? 23 characters after a year. Meanwhile, you look at like Mortal Kombat and it has what, 60?
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't played Mortal Kombat in forever.
Mortal Kombat has more characters in its DLC pass than MultiVersus has in its primary roster. I'm pretty certain. So, yeah. Not surprised.
Right.
And also, not surprised that Marvel Avengers devs are throwing out apologies for things not going all that well. It's kind of a one-off, just one of the developers just saying, we're sorry it was a challenging production, but yeah, right?
Yeah.
As we quickly change topics from one shitty live service to another.
So the developer's name is Virtuoso?
Mm-hmm.
And the line is, it was a challenging production, let's say. Pause. I apologize for that. To me, that says I'm throwing the publisher under the bus on this one, which they should be. But to me, that's as close to criticizing, criticizing the publisher, or maybe criticizing Disney, who owns the Marvel IP, restrictions or demands that were placed on them. That's my guess. That's how I read that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, shit. Spider-Man was a console exclusive. I think it's still. Is he still exclusive?
No. I think Spider-Man is on PC now. Let's look. Steam Store.
I know he was exclusive, and yeah, Spider-Man. When this game was announced, was it just came off of one of the later Spider-Man movies.
Yeah. Okay. So the two most recent Spider-Man games are on PC now.
No, I was talking about the in Marvel's Avengers.
Oh yeah. Spider-Man, what was it? No Way Home, I think, came out last summer, I think. Are you there?
Yeah, I was just checking something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out if he actually did eventually come to PC, but it's a little hard to find the info. I do know that he was a PlayStation exclusive for quite a while, which stings to lose content when it's a live service game, so the initial launch is going to be bare bones to begin with.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the preview of this at the PC Gaming Show, several years ago now, and just seeing the crowd deflate when they announced it was a live service game.
Yep.
You remember that one?
Yep. I felt the same way. I was so pumped. I was like, wow, an Avengers game. Love the Avengers. Third person, action brawler. This will be awesome.
So that's not the actual actors, but fine.
Yeah, that's okay. And then it's and it's a live service game. Well, fuck, guess I'm not playing that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, just damn, right?
Yeah.
And talk about not reading the room, because I remember the developer, really trying to sell it at that point. But it just seemed like no one was interested. And how about that? Still nobody was interested.
Yeah. I wonder how long it's going to be before developers finally get no, just make some good single-player games that we want to play.
I wonder, we've been waiting for that since the 2000s.
True. You're right.
I mean, we'll see it occasionally, but even then, it's just hobbled or a very limited scope. I mean, hell, just look at the first-person shooter genre. How often do you see a good single-player focused first-person shooter, story-based, over, yet another battle royale esque or Call of Duty esque game. All right.
Yeah. Not very often.
Or when they do, it's a horrible, horrible port. See Atomic Hearts for that one.
I've got that downloaded to play as well, so I guess maybe I'll have an opinion on that soon too.
Yeah, I tried watching a couple reviews of it before downloading it, and just I couldn't. It was way too narrow field of view for me, and that was on not even watching full screen. So yeah, right.
Yeah.
Mind you, Marvel's Avengers is shutting down at the end of next month. Or sorry, or no, correction. All credits will be converted into in-game resources. No new content or cosmetics will be. With no new content and all cosmetics will be free after March 31st. With September, all support will end for Marvel's Avengers, but single player and multiplayer will still be available. Well, at least for the time being, right?
Yeah.
I really don't expect them to keep the servers up for long. I'm expecting by a year that's going to be shut down. And honestly, I really think that only reason why this has been kicked down the road for so long is the fact that contractual obligations, right?
Yeah. It just this sucks. I miss what was that game called? Was it Alliance? Marvel Alliance? Marvel Ultimate
I
Alliance?
died for this.
Yeah. That was the MMO, right?
That was the looter, wasn't it? Like the ARPG.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
I remember playing a little bit of it. Then they announced it was shutting down, so I stopped. Because right.
Yeah. I'm looking to make sure this is the game I'm thinking.
Or I think I was playing a little bit of it. I know I was playing one of them, and they. It does look like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is available on Switch. So, all right.
Yeah, Ultimate Alliance is what I'm thinking of. I've played Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. I honestly didn't realize that they'd made a third one. But it's an ARPG where that you have a team of up to 4 characters and you can swap between them, or maybe they're all available on screen, and you can do local co-op and everybody can be one of the characters. That's what that's what I wanted out of this Marvel's Avengers game, was an Ultimate Alliance style game, but with, huge production values because of how popular the Marvel Cinematic Universe has become in the last decade. They haven't made one of these in 8 years? Well, no, you said there was one for Switch, so I guess that was...
Well, it could have been early in the Switch's lifespan because the Switch is getting on up there, right?
Yeah. Looks like Ultimate Alliance 3 came out in 2017, and then there was a sort of a Game of the Year edition that came out in 2019. Yeah.
Yeah, but just another case of publishers chasing these live service games, right?
Yep. We've said it time and time again for the last couple of years, and all of our predictions are coming true on these things. There's only enough room for a couple of them. I mean, more than a couple, but, 1 or 2 per sort of genre or, kind of market space.
And honestly, if Marvel can't float one, right?
Yep. If Marvel can't float one, like, you're fucked. The ones that are already there and are holding it down are probably going to be the ones that stick it out, and all the rest of them are going
to seriously fuck up.
Which could happen.
I mean, I'm not saying that it's impossible, though, but damn, right? It's going to have to be a mass exodus or something.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, World of Warcraft is still a major player in the MMO genre, even though it is definitely fallen off. It's still, one of the few that's able to hold a subscription-based service.
Yeah.
Although there are ways around that now, but still. The idea of the WoW killer was a thing, was a big thing, in the years following World of Warcraft. And you just kept seeing MMOs come out trying to copy the formula, but even though mechanically it may have been a better game, it just didn't have the content because WoW at that point was like on expansion 2 or 3, and you're just not going to compete head to head to that, and you're not going to pull off enough players to be able to self-sustain. And battle passes are in these live service games have just not learned that same lesson. You don't see the WoW killers anymore. You don't see you don't see very many MMOs in general anymore, but that's kind of beside the point. You don't see games shooting for World of Warcraft anymore because they eventually realized it was not economically viable. And I think eventually we're going to start seeing a tapering off. I don't think we're going to see a dying off of the live service game, just because the publishers will eventually realize that they're throwing too many resources at this and diluting their brands. And that's what they really care about, is their brands, right? Usually.
Yeah.
So I do think we're going to eventually see a tapering off, and we may see a sustainable, like, one pop up every so often. But and the graveyard of live service games is massive. It makes EA jealous. Hell, it makes Google jealous. Right?
Yeah. I'm just looking at a list of successful live service games, and this was made last August.
Mm-hmm.
And this ranks them from 10 to 1. Let's see. Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, Apex Legends, Genshin Impact, Star Wars Battlefront 2, Destiny 2, The Hunt Showdown, Rocket League, Fall Guys, and Warframe.
Mm-hmm. Which
a couple of those I don't really think of as live service games, but I mean, I guess they are.
Two of those is being propped up by Epic.
Yeah. Fortnite has dropped off a bit. I mean, Fortnite is in that realm of like so fucking massive, like it's hard to think about, but I've seen some stories of, players dropping off and stuff like that. Like they're not coming in as fast as they're leaving, but it's not like Fortnite is anywhere near death, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, that's, I don't really think of, I guess it is. I don't think of Rocket League as a live service game, but that's because I played it before. We haven't played Rocket League in years, and I probably won't ever play it again because it transitioned from, a good multiplayer game that had a bunch of, cosmetic DLC to a battle pass or season pass fueled thing that I just didn't want to be in the treadmill for, which I guess makes it a live service game, but...
I mean, I guess technically if you look at battle pass stuff, you could call Splatoon one because they have the seasonal catalog, but that's a free thing in the game. It's not, right? It's a progression system. It's not, you're buying into it. But that's kind of, you're splitting hairs at that point of what is a live service game, right?
Yeah.
Because Splatoon has quarterly updates with new stuff, and new ones dropping next week. So, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, live service games, there will, like you said, there will continue to be a successful handful, kind of a dirty dozen, if you will, that make it, and all the rest won't. And over time, we'll see filtering out to fewer and fewer of these games because, companies lose enough fucking money that they realize it's a lost cause. And then they'll move on to the next shitty thing that we all hate.
Not for the NFTs.
Right. But yeah, I think that's that'll do it for us tonight. Hey Rage, how can people contact us if they want to?
Well, you can do so by sending us an email, vglpodcast@gmail.com, tweeting us, vglpodcast, on the Twitter, or dropping by the Discord, which you can find a link to that over at vglpodcast.podbean.com.
And what about them socials?
Well, I'm in Caffeine Rage. You maybe find me tweet over Gaming with CR. I haven't tweeted all this year. It's kind of liberating, actually. But then again, Elon Musk is an utter bellend. I've been watching Simon Whistler, like I say.
Yeah.
Or if you wish to be my friend on Steam, you can find me Caffeine Rage over there. And you've been?
I have been Jared. You can find me on Twitter at JMA4707. Playing my, fiddle as it burns to the ground. So Twitter has recently taken away two-factor authentication unless you pay for Twitter Blue. And they haven't walked that one back yet, to my knowledge. Yeah. Two-factor authentication goes away, I think, at the end of this month, unless you're a Twitter Blue subscriber or otherwise verified. So that's probably going to do it for me. I'm not willing to put any of my other accounts at risk because Twitter refuses to be secure unless I pay them some money. So, fuck that.
But hey, have you heard about Facebook? They're doing $12 a month blue check mark, whatever.
Yeah.
Oh.
But for now, they might walk that back, and otherwise, this will exist in posterity. But for now, you can find me on Twitter at JMA4707. Find me running a game on twitch.tv/RunicArts. Again, not my Twitch channel, but a Twitch channel that hosts a Vampire the Masquerade campaign that I play, usually a couple of Wednesdays a month. And then also you can find me over on our Discord, where you can chat me up and be my friend, and we can talk about all kinds of stuff if you want to. Yeah.
Woo.
Woo.
So, as we stretch and go all the way back up to the top once again, you can contact us at vjobpodcast@gmail.com with your letters, voicemails, game-related topics. Tweet us, vjobpodcast until that burns to the ground. Or if you wish to contact us on Discord, you can find a link to that over at vjobpodcast.pondme.com. Our lovely, lovely patrons have made this madness possible. You can find out more at patreon.com/vjobpodcast. Our intro and outro music is On the Ground by Kim McLeod. You can find his work over at incompetech.com. And
as always, as his lovely music starts to roll across my voice, bye-bye now.
See ya.
Bye-bye.